an exciting night for Spec-5 World Tour. It's our once-a-season oval race for the Mazda MX-5s in this iRacing League. And so, what will this special event give us? How will the strategy unfold? And which driver will be best at this unique discipline, Mazda MX-5s on a short oval? To find out, we are live here on HJBC. David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby for HJBC coverage of Spec-5 World Tour. What are you thinking we're going to see, Reese?
I'm thinking we're going to see chaos and some very high-speed battling, potentially some fuel-saving strats as well. There's a lot of technique to driving Richmond Raceway. You can either lift on the way into the corners, or you can trail the brakes and be off-throttle in the middle. There's going to be a lot of variance on driving strategy, but I think we're just going to have a real fun time today. I always look forward to the oval round.
Looking forward to this, no doubt. 45-minute race. Exactly how many laps that will be, yet to be determined based on our pace. Hey, aren't those the same inflatable Toyota letters from Sonoma?
I believe they are. Very conveniently placed.
You reckon it's the same set and they transport it, or that they've got ones on the east and the west coast? Something to think about as we go qualifying. Now, we've taken our regular sort of road course racing rules. This is a 15-minute qualifying session on a 3/4 mile short oval. It's not going to take that long, so let's see who's out early, who comes out later in the session. Already hitting flying laps from our drivers. These are quick laps around here.
Oh, that they are. The top practice time from Brandon Hawken was a 25.1. Gently does it. Of course, we are racing at night, so the track is quite cold. Keeping an eye on the track temp, it is in fact 19 degrees Celsius. That's in what, the 60s or the 50s in terms of Fahrenheit. So 66, thank you, Michael Derby, in the background. So it is going to result in quite a bit of a squirrely car on the outlap and maybe the first couple of hot laps.
I mean, even on road courses 3 times this length, we see that it takes a little while to build up the tyre temperature. So late in this run could be when the good laps happen. Once you've just built up a little bit more. Joshua Soto goes to second, gets dropped down as Travis Hewitt goes to first, Brian Chabelski in second. But you could see that Soto is very methodically building into this. Travis Hewitt, getting sideways when he did, has clearly built a little bit of tyre temperature. He gets dropped down. Pierre Robitaille moves ahead of him. Andre Luigi jumps into third. It's all about tyre temperature at the right times, and so Hewitt, who was up top, suddenly finds himself down in 6th, completes another lap, jumps up to the top again, 25.8, and everyone is still going quicker. 12 drivers have qualifying times as we look at Michael Coates and Brian Chabelski.
Yes, Chabelski putting himself in second place. Andre Luigi taking the open class pole for the moment ahead of Pierre Robitaille and Mark Cheng. Joshua Soto currently on top of the standings, down to a 25.4 for the moment. We have only half of our cars actually out on circuit at the moment, and so a bit less than half of our field having set times so far, so we've still got a lot to go in this session. Brandon Hawken, the man who top practice and the championship leader, is going to be making his way around now. It looks like he's had a bit of a slow burn going for his laps. End of lap 3, out through the restart zone he comes, across the line. Where's this going to put him? A 25.8. So it looks like Hawken is gearing up for this final lap to be his real one.
Yeah, looks like he's just begun his 4th of 4 laps, so this has got to be it. He's been purple through the first half of the lap. Can he get turns 3 and 4 together? And turn 4 opens up, but still keeps turning till you get to that start-finish line that's early out of turn 4, and he does it just perfectly, putting himself to the top ahead of Ryan Pandicio and Joshua Soto in 3rd. The start-finish line is not equally between turn 4 and turn 1. It's sort of the opposite of Talladega, where it's down closer towards turn 1. Here, it's quite early out of turn 4.
Yes, so the lap is over a bit sooner than you think. Paul Murgatroyd then starting his final lap. Past 7:07, been a pretty consistent competitor in the open class this season, battling for that championship lead. He needs a good qualifying here in order to keep that momentum going, just cutting below the line a little in turn 4 and bringing it to the line. Then this is going to be his final lap, and it grants him 5 positions, rounding out the provisional top 10. But we still have about 8 of our drivers still yet to set times, and quite a few of them are ones we expect up the top.
Donnie Moffat, new livery by the looks of things. He crosses the start-finish line, moves from 21st to 16th. Moffat's still got a couple more laps in the bank here as well, just beginning his 3rd lap, and we've seen drivers continue to improve all the way through and to their 4th lap. Joshua Soto is actually treating this as an extended practice session, I notice, but Donnie Moffat completes lap 3, very tight exiting turn 4. His teammate Eugenio Pellicci jumps up. Donnie Moffat doesn't move much. Pellicci beginning his 4th lap now.
Yeah, he was dragging the brakes into turn 1 there to try and get a little more rotation past the inflatable Toyota sign on the back stretch. And he's squirreling around a little bit through 3 and 4. But to the line, Eugenio will come P6. Is there going to be any improvement? No, unfortunately. He's 0.03 of a second off his fastest. Mitchell Peak slotting into 9th place. And we've still got times left with 9 minutes to go. We've got to see laps from Nicholas Shepard, Lincoln Fox, Jason Stalker, Mark Kruger, Michael Tenegretta, Charles Vaccaro, and Jake DeGrand. Improvement from Mike Oswald there, putting himself into 14th, and he's still got a lap left too.
Yeah, certainly does. He's improved again so far on this lap. So to see it out through turns 3 and 4, bit of movement coming down into 3. Now exiting 4, he uses all of the road, opening it up to cross the start-finish line. And for Oswald, it jumps him up to 11th. Damon Pacheco has just started his 4th lap, so a couple of new drivers yet to be classified pro or open for some of these, I believe. Paint me a little bit surprised, by the way, that it's this oval round in the MX-5 that seems to have brought a couple of new drivers out of the woodwork. People want to be part of this.
Yeah, and no surprise, it's always fun having an oval race in cars that aren't typically oval racing machines. Of course, the MX-5 Cup has raced at Martinsville a couple of times in recent years, so it's always fun to see that. But a little bit more banking, a little bit more speed here at Richmond really shows what these cars can do.
No time yet for Tenegretta, just leaving the lane and continuing to build up that temperature and pressure. We're not even halfway through the time allotted for the session yet, so no rush whatsoever. At under 30-second laps, I'm pretty sure you could leave the pit lane with 2.5 minutes to go and still squeeze in all of your qualifying runs. But it does leave you a little nervous waiting too long and seeing all of these other times come in. So for a just building up lap for Tenegretta, the time is at 26.6, and we expect to see that continue to evolve. But on those cold tyres, the cars are loose, not pushing by the looks of things. Something to think about in the race.
Yeah, looks like it. And how the car behavior will change over the course of the race is something we need to think about as well. Obviously, tyre change at the pit stop is usually done, but only for one side. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if everyone takes right side tyres for this one. Yeah, the cold conditions often you'll find that the car is a little bit looser, but as the track heats up, it will start to understeer a little more, and that's as you build temperature into the tires as well. You're going to have to look after the front end here. It can be very easy to push too hard through the turns of the oval and burn through your fronts, which will induce a ton of pushing.
So Tana Greta goes to 22nd place, still continuing to improve, getting right down to the apron and the yellow line. That's what they're doing on new tyres, but is there a line on a short track like this where you go a little bit higher and maybe you save your tyres and maybe you find some momentum on some older tyres? Tana Greta didn't quite improve in the final sector there, stays 22nd for the moment. Jason Stalker on his 4th lap, Mark Kruger on his 3rd, and Lincoln Fox only just getting out there now. What is Stalker going to show us?
Well, Kruger slots himself into 14th, and Jason Stalker, with his 4th and final lap completed, only 21st place. So it looks like the session might not have gone exactly to the 219's liking, but still plenty of opportunities in the race to get it done. We'll have 45 minutes of racing ahead of us. Nicholas Shepherd and Charles Vaccaro have not set times so far in the session, and well, they don't have long to get out there and get it done. Lincoln Fox, meanwhile, has completed his first lap. It was a build lap, 26.9. As he comes across the line again, we'll see how much of an improvement it is. A 27.3. It looks like he's gearing up for the 4th and final lap to be the one that counts.
Yeah, that's been the trend that we've seen. Lincoln Fox. Oh, I recognise this livery. This is Screamin' Sicilian or something, I think. Fox is going way up high. Maybe trying to roll a little bit of extra momentum into lap number 4. Gave up about half a second in that final sector to try to get a good run out of 4. Stays low through 1 and 2. Doesn't want to tag the wall on the exit there as the banking begins to flatten out a little bit. And then you get a little bit more as you come into turn 3. Turn 4 opens up a little on the exit and this D-shaped oval, and Fox crosses the line and moves from 27th to 3rd, all about building into that final critical lap. Really good sectors. And Lincoln Fox is looking like he's going to start on the 2nd row of the grid.
Very nicely done, and some good lines on the hot lap there as well. He was sticking to the inside solidly without going onto the apron. That's something that I've noticed a few drivers doing, using a bit of the apron, and I think there is a bit of pace available if you do that, but you can't afford to get too far onto the banking. It is flat, and so you're not really getting the full benefit of the banking despite taking a geometrically faster, shorter line through the corner. 3.5 minutes to go. And, well, there is still time for Nicholas Shepherd and Charles Vaccaro to make their way out on track, but I see no sign of them preparing to do that.
Believing that about now is the latest you could leave the pit lane and get it done. 30 seconds for an out lap and then 4 flying laps at just underneath 30 seconds, 25, 26, 27 seconds. So if you're not leaving pit lane now, you're cutting it way too short, knowing that good lap times and the good speed comes on that 4th flying lap. Charles Vaccaro we've seen not qualify a couple of times and not 100% clear what Nicholas Shepherd might be up to, but that is 28 MX-5s that have laid down qualifying times at the moment.
Yeah, looking good. And the field spread isn't as high as I expected. Obviously, Jake DeGrand unable to get a time in that he was happy with. He's about a second off Michael Tuck as Lincoln Fox continues to get some track time in here. But the top times, low 25-second laps. So we're looking at a field spread of about 9/10 of a second throughout the majority of the field, which should result in some mighty close racing when we get into the race session.
So just before this qualifying session wraps up and we go to the grid and then our 45-minute race, let's recap where this new season of Spec-5 World Tour stands with 6 races completed. In the pro class, Brandon Hawken was victorious a week ago at Miami. He comes into Richmond Raceway as the championship leader ahead of Joshua Soto and Michael Coates. Eugenio Pollicci just ahead of Kyle Genske, Michael Chase, Donnie Moffat, Jared Collins, Mike Oswalt, and Mitchell Peake is our top 10 after 6 rounds.
Not the only championship taking place, the open class is up for grabs as well. Murgatroyd and Stadola are equal on points for the open championship lead, and not too far behind Lee Martin and Travis Hewitt, who are only separated by 1 point themselves. Michael Tuck rounding out the top 5 with Kruger, Stalker, Paulo Coimbra, Daniel Artuzo, and Mark Cheng rounding out your open class top 10, counting one of the 3 rounds that drivers can drop so far in the season. Meanwhile, there is also the Mr. Clean Championship. Michael Tuck leading the way on that. It's all about getting the least amount of incidents in each race. The less incidents you get, the higher up the Mr. Clean standings you are. And this is the kind of championship where you can't really make gains once you start getting incidents tallied up. Your amount of incident points you get are going to stay the same regardless. But Michael Tuck with a very nice lead in that at the moment. This being an oval round, there is a lot of potential for contact, especially if there is a crash, a pile up. And so I think we might see some real jigging around in the Mr. Clean standings coming out of this.
Yeah, Brian Jabelski with a difficult race at Miami has dropped down those standings. They're forming up now 2 lanes behind the iRacing pace truck. Brandon Hawken will be on the front row on the inside. On the outside of him, a great qualifying from open class driver Ryan Pandisio. This is a unique discipline, racing these cars on the short oval, and I think Pandisio has done the laps, put in the practice, studied the tape, and done a really amazing job. Lincoln Fox starts inside of the second row with Joshua Soto on the outside. Brian Jabelski on row 3 with Mark Kruger. A good qualifying for him. This could be one of the races where the open class drivers really cash in. Corey Dixon on row 4 with Eugenio Pollicci. And row 5 is Andre Luigi and Donnie Moffat.
In 11th place will be Mitchell Peake. He's got Pierre Robitaille alongside him, with Mike Oswalt starting in 13th place alongside Jack Stadola, who's battling with Paul Murgatroyd for that open class championship. Geordie Fike and Drew Lidke on row number 8. Then we have Cheng and Murgatroyd, 17th and 18th. The top 20 rounded out by Travis Hewitt and Odyssey Adams.
Then 8 more cars that set qualifying times. Tim Collier and Jason Stalker, Logan Hegg and Michael Coates, Michael Tanagretta and Damon Pacheco, Michael Tuck and Jake DeGrand, the last 2 drivers to set qualifying times. Both of them have got excuses. DeGrand's got his controls, and Michael Tuck is European. The 2 drivers that didn't set any qualifying times are at the back of the grid there, if indeed they are looking to start. We roll out onto the track, past the inflatable Toyota, past the cookout sign. And I am so excited to see exactly how this plays out.
Yeah, I am very excited as well. It looks like Shepard and Vaccaro aren't taking to the start, and in fact, Shepard has disconnected from the server. So we won't be seeing 2 of our drivers in there, but still 28 drivers taking to the start here. It's going to be quite the fun time here. 2 formation laps on short track ovals, so we should be going green at the end of this one, as they make their way into turns 1 and 2 for the second time here. It's going to be all about the start.
This server has been set as an oval racing server, so in the case of multiple drivers not qualifying, the tiebreak would be their oval, not road I rating. It's not actually meant anything here, but looking at my timing screen, I'm like, why are so many of these drivers rookies? Well, because they don't race ovals much, some of them, but they've got to tonight for 45 minutes. Spec-5 World Tour. The green flag waves at Richmond Raceway, and the MX-5s roar into life, pretending to be street stocks. Brandon Hawken leads us on the low line into turn 1. These cars are going to be super loose on cold tyres. Pacheco goes up high, trying to form a third lane. Doesn't find any grip up there just yet in these conditions, but that might be the story of the night as we go on. Lincoln Fox jumps into second place. Brian Jabelski up into third as they try to work 2 lanes, 3 lanes off a turn 4 with 1 lap completed.
Yeah, Ryan Pandicio was a little bit further back on the initial race start, but he's played it all right. He's staying with our top 2, but in these early stages, it doesn't really matter what line you take. You're able to get out of the corner properly. Pandicio does seem to be running a little bit higher on the way into the corners, though. That could open him up to an attack from Brian Jabelski, but look at the run that he gets out of turn 4, right on the back of Hawken and Fox once again, and we could potentially see quite a bit of bump drafting here as well. Jabelski very deep. As the yellow flag is out, looks like there's been a crash in the midfield.
For Palici and a handful of other drivers there, they were racing 3 wide. Someone's got their hood up, and that's a good place to stick a sponsor underneath it as the caution flag flies and the field packs up. Tanagretta, Palici, Corey Dixon and Mitchell Peak all have meatball flags, and there are more damaged cars out there. We saw our top 10 beginning to string away, but behind that they were driving and racing 3 wide. Let's take a look at where it started. I think that's between Dixon and Palici.
Yeah, it is.
It's ahead of the 3 wide.
Yeah, Palici lifted off very early into turn 1, and I think that caught out Dixon. Great incident avoidance from Mike Oswald there. He just managed to escape the carnage, but a massive pile-up that resulted behind him. Sent up high were Palici and Dixon. We saw Andre Luigi get involved in all of that as well. Yeah, massive crash, and that is what you can expect from short track racing. Fortunately, it seems the fast repair is available for these drivers. Palici is back out onto the track, and he's managed to make it out of the pits just ahead of the pace truck. So good on him. Looks like he may just be able to stay on the lead lap here.
Well, if you're thinking a one-stop strategy, it's still way too early to pit. But if you're thinking new tyres are more valuable than track position, we'll see what kind of strategy people follow. Pierre Robitaille has come in. He does not have a meatball flag, but might have some damage to fix. Tanagretta has come into pit and just taken a tiny splash of fuel. There are not new right side tyres going on these cars at sort of 3 or 4 second pit stop times. It's more like 10 to 15 seconds to get that tyre change. Here they are racing to the pit exit and hoping, short track rules, you want to stay on the lead lap. That's your goal.
Yes, unfortunately for Eugenio Palici, he's had to come back into the pits for some reason, probably to just get another little splash of fuel, and that will put him off the lead lap now. So not ideal for Eugenio, but he can certainly recover. If there is another caution, then he can stay out and get track position from that. It's been a long time since I've done an oval race, so I'm having to refamiliarize myself with all the terminology and the lingo.
So, for example's sake, in a road course race of the Spec-5 World Tour, the strength of fields would typically be around 3,500. The oval strength of field tonight is 1,600, and the drivers with D or rookie oval licenses are Joshua Soto, Donnie Moffat, Mike Oswald, Paul Murgatroyd, Jake DeGrand, Andre Luigi, Logan Hegg, Mark Cheng, Eugenio Palici, Corey Dixon, and Charles Vaccaro. There is a lot of experience in these cars in this field, and not a lot of experience on ovals for a bunch of our drivers in this field. The pace truck pulls in, Brandon Hawkins stays up high, entering towards the restart zone, and the green flag waves. He puts the hammer down, and we are racing again with 40 minutes still to go. Fanning out 3 wide, deeper in the field. Soto looks like he's been caught napping by Jabelski and Kruger.
And Travis Hewitt getting up the inside of the both of them. Mike Oswalt, though, round the outside, will get him back. Very nicely done. Oswalt's making up a good amount of places. Travis Hewitt, one of the hardest chargers in the field at the moment. But Jake DeGrand is the hardest charger, up 11 positions here after the first restart of the day. Drew Lidke and Jack Stadola will trade spots. Meanwhile, is stuck a little bit down low there is Jason Stalker. Have a look at that there from Stadola. On the way into the corners, you want to be high, evidently. It gives you a lot of speed at the apex.
Now he looks to cut down low. Looks like we're coming into turns 3 and 4 here. 1 lap completed now on this restart there. Hawkins still leading from Fox, Panzisio, but it's sort of 7th through to 20th. It's been so exciting, seen so many different lanes working. It's a dynamic track, so the longer we go, that low line might heat up. You might find a bit more grip up high. Balance of the car will shift every single lap as you wear and heat the tyres.
And the right side tyres will be going through a lot more than the lefts. Meanwhile, Pandicio and Fox for second place. Lincoln Fox was a little bit slower on the restart. Brandon Hawken getting away to a lead of about half a second at the moment, and it looks like it'll be between Pandicio and Fox for second overall as the field streams through. Hopefully we get a good green flag run going here, because it'll be interesting to see how that car behavior changes, how that's going to affect the racing going forward. Joshua Soto, fastest man so far. 25.165 is the new fastest lap of the race.
Top 5 are going to get away here as 6th and 7th go side by side. Moffat alongside Kruger. Travis Hewitt alongside Mike Oswalt. That's the first and second lane in effect through turns 4. And neither lane seems to really be winning, and Joshua Soto losing a little bit of patience there, just now beginning to bump draft Travis Hewitt ahead, and that works. So if you've got someone who wants to just give you a little bump down the straights here to get you that nose ahead going into the corners, then you can complete the pass. But otherwise, proving tough to do. Up high, Mark Kruger loses a bit of grip and loses the position to Donnie Moffat. But now he's back alongside him again, heading into 1.
Yeah, gentle entry into turns 1 and 2 here. It's a bit tighter into 3 and 4, and it looks like running a little bit high is Mark Kruger there, so he'll give up the position to Travis Hewitt. In the meantime, Mike Oswalt's going to take advantage and get down to the inside. Good amount of room being left here. It's a nice wide circuit, but once you get into the turns, it becomes a bit difficult to maintain that wide nature. Look at the run into turn 1 there from Kruger, but Oswalt's going to try and get him again on the exit here. It's so difficult if you're stuck down low on a short track. The drivers that are passing you up high, they're keeping their tyres a little cooler than you are, and so that is going to result in better long-run pace.
Murgatroyd and Fikes side by side just at the tail there as Murgatroyd, co-leader of the Open Class Championship, gets his inside tyres on the apron, gets a good run through the corner on the short line, doesn't have much momentum exiting, and Fike just pushes him along there. So Fike was like, all right, you've beaten me there, let's keep moving forward. Top 5 creating a gap to Moffat there in 6. Travis Hewitt, a big mover through this field, and we're seeing Fox and Jabelski side by side for 4th and 5th.
Yeah, Fox dropping back slightly there. Joshua Soto made the move on him a lap or 2 ago, and Jabelski's going to try and do the same thing. But the more they run side by side through the corners here, the more time they're going to lose to the drivers ahead. So they need to sort this battle out. It's side by side for second as well. Soto making his way past Pandicio, having a proper run here as Brandon Hawken has been under very little pressure over the course of this race so far. Looks like he's been focusing nicely on keeping his tyres nice and cool. So at the moment, doesn't look like much of a run being made from the drivers behind to try and take that lead.
Just beginning to see the lap pace drop off. Your leader going from the 25.3s to 25.5s. We're not seeing massive tyre drop off just yet. but on this extended green flag run, they've gone past their peak. And we're just seeing the field spread a little bit as Hawken looks to manage the gap. Joshua Soto does end up in that second place, and he'll try to hunt down the leaders. Travis Hewitt gets a little bump draft in 6th place as Kruger and Moffat go side by side. This is Moffat round the outside of Kruger, gets clear before they turn into 3 and 4. A late dive down low from Oswald.
Oh, easy does it. Nice run in, but can Mark Kruger get the run out of the corner? He's the one with the most of the slipstream from Donnie Moffat ahead. And so looks like Oswald maybe a little bit stuck there down the straights. He can get a nice run through the corners, but if he doesn't have anyone ahead of him to draft off, then things are not going to work out well for him. Get back in line as soon as you can, and try and mount another attack later on. Lots of position changes being made. At the moment, Travis Hewitt is up 13 places just ahead of these guys. Fantastic job from him so far. Jason Stalker and Michael Coates up 11 and 12 positions respectively.
Yeah, some big movers, and on a track like this, that's not particularly surprising. I think positioning your car well and having good pace on the long run are very different from putting in a quick lap in that qualifying session that's so on and off and then you're done. All of the skill happens in managing the tyres on an extended run, where you position yourself inside or outside to try to make your moves. All those little bits of racecraft that you don't get to exercise and show in qualifying are now really being tested.
That they are. Battle for the lead continuing here. Brandon Hawken's been setting very consistent times at the moment. He's just minding his own business at the front, but for the moment, Joshua Soto appears to be regaining a little more. And you notice as well, coming into these corners, pay attention to who's using their brakes and who isn't. It would appear that Brandon Hawken is just lifting off into the corners, maybe tapping the brakes, but he's not dragging them into the corner as much as the drivers behind. So have a think about that and how that might affect the strategy.
Yeah, there's an art to the tyre management in this type of racing, and it includes being a little more gentle on the way into the corners, doing a little less to roll the speed through the middle. That's the brakes on from Soto as we ride on board with Pandisio in third, but aren't really seeing much brake from Brandon Hawken.
Yeah, lifting off a little earlier into the corners. And it looks like no brake usage through 3 and 4 for Joshua Soto. Just a lift, if that. And they're picking up the pace nicely. Obviously, you use the brakes, you rotate the car, but you do sacrifice a little bit of speed in the mid-corner.
For the top 3 on the last lap.
Yep. Just 1,000th covering them. Hawken and Soto setting the same lap time down to the 1,000th. That is pretty fantastic.
Well done to our director on finding that graphic there as well on very quick notice. So they were all so evenly matched there. Jabelski and Fox side by side. That's Fox on the inside, on the low line. Are we going to see that 1 lane higher start to get a bit stronger the longer this goes? Because at the moment, it still seems like the low lane is in clean air the way to go and can be the way to make the passes.
Yeah, and I think earlier on you'll see the low line win out for the most part, but as the tyres heat up, as they start to overheat even by being pushed so hard through these corners, you'll find that a gentler line, wider line, less steering input is going to be the advantage. Some trading of spots potentially going on here. Travis Hewitt finally made his way past Donnie Moffat after getting turned in on it the lap before. Pandisio, meanwhile, making his way past Soto back into second place. So battles going on all the way through this field. We've got our top 5 all together there, then a small gap, and then the run from the battle from 6th to 12th, and then 13th to 18th. Tim Collier leading the way on that one, with Odyssey Adams bringing up the rear in 18th place, and then Robitaille, Pacheco, Tanner Greta, and Tucker all together for 19th.
not far away from the T word. A little bit of traffic here. The race leaders are going to come up on the likes of Michael Tuck and Corey Dixon and some others like that. We've got multiple lanes in effect for pack number 3 right here.
Yep,
Open class leader Stodola in the middle of this as well.
Yes, he is. Well, with Murgatroyd up in 11th at the moment, Stodola needs to do a little bit more, I think, to get up to the back of him. But the problem is, when these packs start to form, you're basically locked in to the range of positions that pack covers, unless there's a few cautions back to back and you can try something different on the pit strategy. You may not be able to advance too much further forward from here.
Plenty of cars are grazing the outside wall, exiting turn 2, and in some cases on their way into turn 1. A little bit of it through 3 and 4 as well. And you've always got to be so careful about how close you are to the cars around you, who you're racing. Jordy Fike moving around some of the lanes there. Drew Lidke crossing over under with him. And Odyssey Adams. So that's 3 wide. Just sorts itself out as Jordy Fike, I think, lets the boys go if that's how they want to drive.
Now side by side will continue. Back to the front, meanwhile, our top 3 starting to break away a bit now. Lincoln Fox and Brian Jabelski are still battling hard behind, but they are losing touch with Hawken, Pandicio and Soto. Looks like lap times are pretty even between them all, but Joshua Soto remains the fastest car on track at the moment, taking great advantage of the slipstream from the top 2.
Yeah, we're not seeing a 2-second per lap tyre drop off just yet, but we are seeing about half a second. And if your tyres were in better shape than those around you by just 2 or 3 tenths, you would really notice it on a lap like this. Things are mighty close going through turns 1 and 2 for Travis Hewitt and Donnie Moffat and Jason Stalker and Mark Kruger, who leads this group now. Hewitt up high there as they touch in front of him. He tries to cross back underneath them 3 wide, and that works out really well for Travis Hewitt as Moffat will trade a little bit more paint with Jason Stalker.
Very tight pack here at the moment. Mark Kruger up the front now of this fight as they continue grazing that wall on the exit. Lovely run into the corner there, but now they form single file for just a brief moment as the cutbacks underneath continue. Mike Oswald will have a nice show going on ahead of him here with Moffat and Stalker trading spots ahead. Have a look at the high line there from Jason Stalker. He's translated that into an incredible run down the back stretch, and he's going to have a go.
Seeing a lot of benefit to starting high, coming down to a late apex. These guys have crisscrossed like this multiple times between Moffat and Stalker. Now Stalker up high. He rolls in down to the apron, gasses it up, and gets a really good exit. So how then do you seal a pass in that way? Travis Hewitt backed up a little bit behind Mark Kruger. 7-second gap forming between the top 5 and this pack in 6th place.
Odyssey Adams, meanwhile, has lost a few places. He's down to 17th as this 13th place fight has continued. Looks like Adams is actually missing his front bumper. That's not ideal. Usually you can get away with a couple of bits of bodywork missing on a road course, but on an oval where the average speeds are so high, if you're not in the draft and you've got damage to the front end, that is a lot of drag, and that's going to really affect your lap time.
Dola side by side with Lidkia at the moment. Switch over under in front of them. Stodola is looking for a little bit more elbow room here that he's not quite getting, and he has to hang tough around the outside. When you can get that run from outside to underneath their rear bumper to the inside, it works well, but he has to stay around the outside in this position that he finds himself, and he just gets escorted a tiny bit higher than he might have liked as well.
Yeah, looks like the run out of turn 2 is not going to be worth much for him, and that's going to be Lidkia back ahead, and Adams potentially going to dispatch him for another position down as well. We are starting to see some traffic being counted. Logan Hegg has fallen behind our leaders now, and it won't be too long before these drivers come up on their first bits of traffic as well.
Well, in a road course race, we'd say everything between 30 and 15 minutes to go is the pit window, but I cannot tell you what to expect from a tyre longevity standpoint, from a fuel consumption standpoint, but we are getting Damon Pacheco pitting right now. The problem being a green flag stop almost assuredly puts you off the lead lap. As the caution comes out, Pierre Robitaille and Michael Tuck, I think, have come together at turn 2. They are just, I think, going to stay on the lead lap. Stalker spins with the yellow flag waving.
Oh no, that's not ideal for Jason. He's fortunately the caution came out before that, so he should be able to maintain his running position, but it looks like a big check up there. Yeah, Donnie Moffat slamming on the brakes there when the caution came out, and I think that caught Stalker out.
Yeah, so it was Tuck and Robitaille that brought out the caution initially, and then as the drivers reacted to it, that's the second incident that happened. So we'll try to find Tuck's the black and yellow car, Robitaille up high. I think Tuck washes a little wide in 2 and gets the rear quarter of the flying Christmas present there, to be honest. Leaders pitting, everyone's coming in. It's just before the halfway point of the race, and this caution has been perfectly timed for these leaders.
Certainly has. Just clarifying with that caution-causing incident, I noticed Pierre Robitaille was washing up the track pretty hard coming out of turn 2, and so I think he had a bit of trouble with his rear end as well. It really ruined his momentum, and Michael Tuck, I think, had very little to do about that. But the pit stop's now on.
That's 4 tyres for Hawken, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And he's going to come out behind Lincoln Fox as a result. 2 seconds slower in the stop there for Brandon Hawken. Now, is it going to be worth it here, taking 4 tyres? That is the question. The cars are filled back up, so they should be able to get to the end from here. We are past the halfway point of the race, albeit we did have 1 caution period to contend with as well. But quite a few changes in the field for the moment. Fox is going to lead with Hawken in second, Jabelski in third, Soto maintaining a good position back and forth. Mike Oswalt and Paul Murgatroyd have absolutely flown up through the field. They're in 5th and 6th now.
I think we've had a big variance between 2 and 4 tyre stops here. I think there are quite a few cars that have thought, we're going to restart, nose to tail, give me all of the tyres and I can work my way forward. And that is, I think, the correct thinking, pitting under caution. It's what Hawken has done. I reckon it's what Joshua Soto has done. But I think it has been 2 tyres only for Brian Jabelski, Mike Oswalt and Paul Murgatroyd. And then deeper in the field, some similar questions to be asked. But I think everyone gets home from here, but I don't have any guarantees of it being green all the way from here. Lincoln Fox will lead us when we come to restart.
Indeed he will. And lights on the pace truck are already out, so this has been a very quick caution period. We're immediately going to get back to racing action here, and it looks like the majority of the drivers haven't actually formed up properly there, so that's not going to be ideal. Away they go at the front. Lincoln Fox and Brandon Hawken will lead the way. Soto and Jabelski squabbling over third. As look at the run around the outside from Brandon Hawken. The yellow flag is back out again.
Ryan Pandisio, who was at one point second in this race, is spun around and backwards in turn 2 as the caution flies for the third time at Richmond Raceway. A messy restart and 4 black flags flew for Donnie Moffat, Mark Kruger and Pierre Robitaille, and Mark Cheng on the restart.
This is contact with Murgatroyd in turn 1 that sent Pandisio around, unfortunately, and he gets hit by a couple other cars on the way through.
So as we've just restarted and the caution's flown immediately again, I don't expect to see many people pit. I'm trying to work out if this will be a single or double file restart in the consecutive cautions.
Yeah, that is the question. It would all depend on how the server has been set up. It looks like the black flags from that initial restart have been cleared by Geordie Fike, who's the resident administrator in the server. So we won't be seeing anyone have to take a penalty from all of that, but Ryan Pandisio has come into pit lane to repair some damage, and what a shame really for Pandisio. So competitive in the first stages of this race, and his pace will ultimately come to naught there. He's back down in 21st, but still on the lead lap from what I can see, so it's not all bad.
Speaking of that, Jake DeGrand, I think, is the lucky dog. I just saw him go around, and he'll get back onto the lead lap here. Let's see what happens for this restart. 18.5 minutes left on the clock with DeGrand going around. That's 22 MX-5s on the lead lap at Richmond. Lights look like they're still on the truck, which is not licensed, so it is not a Chevrolet Silverado 1500.
No, it's a Chevy Silverado, I believe, is the specific model.
It looks like a silver Chevirado to me.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a bit of debate over that. Then we'll have to compare some notes afterwards.
But its lights have just gone out as it crossed the start-finish line. We remain single file for almost everyone, heading towards the restart. Mark Kruger leads open class. Lincoln Fox leads the race outright. Brandon Hawken, the championship leader with 4 brand new tyres, sits in second place on the back stretch now. And just confirming, 22 MX-5s on the lead lap coming to the restart. Oh, look at the suspension travel in the truck as it drops down into the apex and heads into pit lane. That's the restart zone right there in orange. The green flag waves. Lincoln Fox puts the power down. Mark Kruger pulled out a line and gets a black flag. He's 3 wide with Donnie Moffat and Travis Hewitt heading down towards turn 1 on this restart. That's where the action begins as Fox holds the lead from Hawken.
But for how long? Look at the run from Brandon Hawken out of turn 2. He's going to get up the inside into 3, and that's going to be duly the lead retaken for the overall championship leader. Such a shame for Mark Kruger there. It is very tempting to get a massive run in the restart zone, but oval racing is very clear. You cannot be even alongside people until you are past the start-finish line, and oh, dearie me, it looks like that's Tim Collier that's found his way into the wall potentially. A lot of chaos going on in the midfield as the top 20 are all within a second of each other.
Brandon Hawken leads Lincoln Fox. Fox presumably trying to find the balance of the new tyres. They all are. Brian Jabelski, poor momentum, is being absolutely swamped on the back straight as outside of the leader goes Lincoln Fox, looking for a high lane, looking for momentum, has Joshua Soto alongside and down the inside now. I think Soto will have taken 4 tyres as well, and Lincoln Fox from the race lead is now solidly back in the 3rd position.
Yeah, it seems that, I mean, we saw this on the initial start as well. Fox was able to keep up, but he gradually slipped back before the caution came back out. Speaking of, it's just come out again.
And that's for Tim Collier. Spun and stopped in turn 4. Caution number 4 at Richmond. Let's take a look at what happened. So that's
Pretty wide
Coates
behind.
on the inside. Kruger behind. So he gets in. So this is on to turn 2. Now we're heading towards 3 and 4 where the issue happened. Collier is up high of Kruger, who dives the nose in and makes just a little bit of contact. At the point of contact, Kruger was still about a quarter of a car up off of the yellow line. Pits are open.
Yeah, pits are open, but I don't see anyone coming in apart from our driver in question that brought out the caution. So Collier will jump in, get a couple of repairs done, and get back out there as the silver Chevy Rado up the front is going to maintain control of things once more. I think if this pattern continues, we're going to be seeing some short, sharp sprints, and that may change the attitude of the drivers up the front. Early on, it was all about just staying in touch, making sure that you bought your ticket to the final green flag period. But with how rapidly these cautions are coming out, I think drivers are going to be trying to make moves as quickly as they can, just for fear of a caution coming out and stymieing their momentum.
Yeah, it gets a little bit more desperate in the final laps, which means people don't give each other as much space, which means there's more chance of a caution. And when there is a big chance of a caution, then you've got to get your moves done early so you don't give much space, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy potentially as we approach the final 10 minutes. Big movers in today's race have been Travis Hewitt plus 14 positions, Jason Stalker plus 12, Michael Coates plus 13. When we saw him 26th on the grid, I thought, gee, that's a car that we often see inside of the top 5, but Michael Coates has slowly moved his way up. Mark Cheng was the lucky dog. We just saw him getting waved around the pace truck.
Yes, indeed. Amazing turnaround for Michael Tuck, meanwhile. Remember, he was involved in what caused one of the previous cautions. He's back into 16th now and 11 spots up from where he started. So pretty impressive recovery from the 076 there. We also see Odyssey Adams and Jason Stalker rounding out the top 10, up 11 and 12 positions respectively. So a lot of success stories to come out of the race so far. But when we go green again, we'll only have about 12 minutes to go.
Double file restart, 23 cars on the lead lap. Brandon Hawken leads the pack, approaching the restart zone. The green flag waves and Brandon Hawken pulls away, the championship leader, back into the lead of this race. Joshua Soto around the outside of Lincoln Fox heading towards turn 1. Mike Oswald on the outside of Travis Hewitt. Oh, contact though. That's Paul Murgatroyd around. Drove down onto the nose, and the two of them have both made big contact with the outside wall at turn 2.
Odyssey Adams involved in that as well through no fault of his own. We'll very quickly go back and see what happened here. So Murgatroyd up high on the restart. Yeah, this was barely a green flag run at all, wasn't it? They didn't even make it out of the first couple of turns. Coming in, Murgatroyd cuts deep, and that's contact with Adams that brings him around there. And looks to me like a couple of drivers having to slow right down to avoid getting into the back of them. Far from ideal. So, yeah, it looks like this is going to be a really stop-start second portion of this race.
Absolutely packed up on that restart. There wasn't room to turn down low, and Adams and Murgatroyd both get meatball flags. Drew Lidkia also picks up a meatball flag as he became involved in that. At the time of the yellow, Brandon Hawken still led the race.
Yeah, I think for Brandon Hawken, it's been pretty simple race, honestly. He's led pretty much the whole way. Yes, he did briefly lose the lead through the pit cycle, but ever since, he's just been maintaining that lead position, and I think he's quite happy to see all these cautions coming out. All he needs to do is cruise.
Yeah, it eats into the clock more than it eats into the race distance, doesn't it? We had Damon Pacheco as the lucky dog, I thought. Michael Tannegretta is on the lane. Lidkia got his repairs and is unfortunately going to have to wait for the whole pack. Lights are still on the pace truck. Looking forward to seeing it, you know, really flexing the suspension travel, jumping from the racetrack and the banking down onto the apron and into the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Yep, lights out. And restarts have been changed to single file. So I think that's a very wise decision, all things considered. We'll have a long stream of MX-5s making their way around Richmond as a result. The back of the pack has only just crossed the start-finish line and entering turn 1 now as the leaders are halfway down the back stretch. We're about to get our suspension travel demonstration here as the pace truck comes into pit lane.
Yeah, that looks like Lidkia getting waved around. Brandon Hawkins going to restart by staying right up against the wall, protecting his right-hand side. Does not wait too long in the restart zone to put the power down. Lincoln Fox bumps Joshua Soto to try to make sure they can keep up with Brandon Hawkins. Drew Lidkia has been given a black flag for passing the pace car there where he did. That didn't quite work out. Everyone will have lost the temperature in their tyres. They're building it up now as we go green flag racing again. Leading the open class is Jason Stalker in 8th outright.
Isn't Travis Hewitt open?
Oh, you're right. Yep, sorry. I looked too far down when I should have looked forth.
Yeah, understandable though that it's catching us out, because we usually see open class drivers battling in the back half of the top 10 at best, but we've seen some great form from many open class drivers here today. Notice that Soto and Fox were, I think, a bit asleep on the restart there. They let Hawken get away, but now that they are back in the slipstream, they'll try to regain that momentum. Remember, though, that Hawken took all 4 tyres at the stop. I believe Joshua Soto might have as well. Lincoln Fox with a 19-second stop. Unclear if he's taken 2 or 4 tyres, but definitely quite a bit of fuel. And the further you go down the field, the more drivers you see that only took 2 tyres at the stop. So yeah, I think all 4 was definitely the way to go today.
Lincoln Fox alongside Joshua Soto going into 1. Starting to see that start high, apex low, momentum off the corner strategy. Joshua Soto gave it a go. Now it gives him the inside into turns 3, bombs it in there, using the brake to really rotate the car. And on the low line, he gets a pretty good exit as well. Brandon Hawken with a half a second lead, which might as well be a whole lap the way this kind of racing works. He's got sort of 6 or 7 easy car lengths over Soto now in 2nd place, Lincoln Fox in 3rd. Travis Hewitt is trying to stay with them, and we're going to get 3 wide a little bit further back between Stalker, Coates, and that looks like it could be Oswald. 3 lanes in effect exiting turn 4.
Yeah, very close fight here. 3 wide between these 3, and Coates will be ahead ever so slightly into the first corner, but he's in the middle. He's got to be careful to stick there, and cutting underneath now is Mike Oswald to try and get the run on the both of them again. This time it is Jason Stalker in the middle and up the inside, dragging the brakes, contact, and Michael Coates is sent sliding. The yellow flag comes out, but I think it might have been a little trigger happy there, because he was very quickly able to recover it.
Yeah, he was sliding sideways, and the yellow comes out here just before he gets it. I want to see that one again from a little on high, but hey, how about the move to go from all the way to the right, all the way down to the left good momentum from Oswald, I thought it was, and that maybe caught the other drivers out. We've all seen someone who arrives just before their off-ramp and has to change 3 lanes.
Yes, indeed. I've been in that position more than once. There's the moment of contact, and all things considered, quite the save. It's amazing from how high up we are, but you could see the front wheels all the way on the lock stop to the right there as he recovered it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, an old race car once told me, if you find yourself going fast enough left, you'll be steering right.
That has certainly been the case more than once today. Well, 5 minutes to go. And will this be the last caution we see? I honestly can't say at this point.
I'm seeing 21 cars on the lead lap, about to be 22. There goes Logan Haig. Now, let's see if this will be a 2 wide or a 1 wide or single file restart. Might need to wait another lap before we know.
Well, I think if the admins have changed restarts to single file as they did on the last caution, that should stick for all remaining cautions, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah, you got to just say what you see happening, and you can say what you think ought to happen, but then watch what's actually happening. Lights still on the truck. We exit turn 4. There's the flag stand and the start-finish line. And the lights go off and the truck changes lane now. So, doing 51 seconds behind the truck. We'll get around to the restart with about 2 minutes 45 on the clock. Enough time to get in 5 or 6 laps. Brandon Hawkin leads, but the desperation is ratcheted up another level.
A little bit of weaving going on there slightly further back. Travis Hewitt leading our open class in 4th place. We'll be looking to make some moves here in the last couple of laps. Well, with 3 minutes to go off this restart, it's looking like about 8 laps or so remaining, potentially 9. We'll have to wait and see on that, but we are away and have a look at the start that Lincoln Fox just got there. He's going to draw alongside Soto into turn 1.
Yeah, nose heading down low from Fox. Soto kind of rolls up high, comes back down to that late apex, trying to get momentum onto the back straight, which he is successful at. Now he wants the inside of Fox, who'll run him all the way down to the apron. Both of them on cold tires, slide going into turn 3. Brandon Hawkin is loving this. He's out to an almost 1 second lead as Soto and Fox battle for 2nd and 3rd. Travis Hewitt is looking underneath, and that will take away one of the options from Lincoln Fox.
Yeah, Fox high out of turn 1, and he may get a bump from Mr. Hewitt here on the way into turn 3. See that Brian Jabelski and Donnie Moffat have caught right up to these guys as well. Mike Oswald's not completely out of this either. Side by side for 2nd, continuing for a couple of laps now off this restart. And like you say, Brandon Hawkin is probably the happiest guy in the field right now. He loves seeing them squabble in his rearview mirror. Here comes Travis Hewitt, potentially for a run at Lincoln Fox.
4 laps to go as Brandon Hawkin crosses the start-finish line. Soto and Fox battling. Travis Hewitt leading open class, but looking for an outright podium if he can get it. He's down the inside of Fox here going into 1. The caution comes out. Dramas for Corey Dixon and Odyssey Adams Jr.
Oh, that is massive. Adams involved in a caution-causing incident again. Let's see what happened to them. So Corey Dixon also involved in one of the earlier caution-causing incidents. Adams coming right into turns 3 and 4. That was all well and good, but then across the start-finish line, that was not ideal for either of them. I'm not quite sure how to call that.
Yeah, and let's see what happens with the time left on the clock. The session is 45 minutes, but 105 laps. There is a lap number for this session, and I believe that is what makes a green-white checker possible. Not guaranteeing we're going to get it, but there ought to be the potential for a restart here.
Yeah, well, we'll find out in about 10 seconds. The timer is ticking down, and well, we are on the 83rd lap of this race. Timer hits 0, and yeah, it's confirmed this is the last lap. So unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be finishing under caution here.
I'm hearing chatter that suggests a green-white checker is...
No notification in the sim.
It's coming. Well, we're about to look exiting turn 4 at the flag stand where the yellow is still being displayed. No white, no checker, just the standing yellow. I think we're heading to a green-white checker, a 2-lap dash.
Right. Okay. Well, here's hoping that we end up getting that, because it would be a shame to see the race finish without Brandon Hawken at least being challenged for the lead here. But Soto and Fox have to be right on it. They have to be as close as possible to Hawken, and they need to accelerate at the exact same time as him. My sim is telling me race over, and the checkered flag is out.
My timing
apparently
has given me extra time.
That's the checkered being waved there. Race is over.
It is. Brandon Hawken wins on the oval, extends his championship lead. Joshua Soto and Lincoln Fox.
Great open class win for Travis Hewitt as well. 4th place overall, very impressive. So those ultimately are your top results there, with Hawkins, Soto and Fox your podium, Hewitt in 4th, Donnie Moffat, Brian Jabelski and Mike Oswalt, with Jason Stalker, Mark
Dude,
Kruger.
I see a green.
What is going on? What is going
We've got
on?
a green. It's a confusing situation, but
What?
this looks like green-white checker has happened.
Ah.
A green flag waves at Richmond. Brandon Hawken, Joshua Soto, and Lincoln Fox are the top 3, but the rest of the pack are caught napping. So what flag waves now as Brandon Hawken, with 1 car length over Joshua Soto, comes to the start-finish line?
It's still the green flag. What? Okay,
Yep.
I think there's been some confusion here. Because, like, the white flag wasn't waving then. It was still the green. Oh! Contact between Soto and Fox. Green flag is still out. I think the server's bugged out.
Yeah, we saw the checker, and then we saw a green.
The results are official in the server. There hasn't been any alteration to them.
The results in the server are official as they crossed that previous checkered flag. So it's given them an overtime that is not counting to the scoring.
Yeah.
This is a very unique situation. They've been given a checker and then the green, but the first checker has to stand, and the results look locked in.
This is what happens when you do a timed oval race. There's a reason they go by distance in this style of racing.
Well, congratulations to Brandon Hawken. He probably got an extra shot of adrenaline that he wasn't expecting, as were the rest of us. Brandon Hawken wins the race from Joshua Soto and Lincoln Fox. Travis Hewitt in 4th, Donnie Moffat, Brian Jabelski Mike Oswalt, Jason Stalker, Mark Kruger, and Ryan Pandisio. 4 open class drivers in our top 10 as we made them all learn a new MX5 discipline, short track oval racing. Jack Stadola finished 11th from Michael Coates and Geordie Fike. Tim Collier, Pierre Robitaille, Andre Luigi, Michael Tuck, Mark Cheng, Michael Tanagretta, and Drew Lidkier as the top 20. Jake DeGrand and Logan Hegg finished on the lead lap in 21st and 22nd. Paul Murgatroyd finished in 23rd, if indeed he did finish. I think that was 2 laps down for him, 3 laps down for Corey Dixon, 4 laps down for Odyssey Adams, and then Damon Pacheco, Eugenio Pellicci, and Mitchell Peake.
Yes, with Nicholas Shepard and Charles Vaccaro not taking to the start. So the celebrations are starting here in the in the tri-oval, so to speak. I think it's going to be a few minutes before we get a chance to talk to some of our drivers. But yeah, altogether, an entertaining race. I can't say I'm a huge fan of the way it finished, but regardless, it's always a fun time when Spec-5 comes to an oval.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of a timer and green-white checker doesn't seem to work. The time overrides the green-white checker, which I think is only looking for laps, and forgets about the possibility of the clock. Brandon Hawken did everything right, no matter how the race was going to be flagged, and he's taken the win there. And this has been such a big opportunity for our open class drivers.
Oh yeah, massive points for Travis Ewart, Jason Stalker, Mark Kruger, Pandisio, Stadola as well. I think Stadola is going to get a huge benefit from this round, considering Paul Murgatroyd was unable to finish the race on the lead lap, ended up getting classified 23rd in the end. That's going to be a big swing in the open class points, at least before you take drop rounds into account.
Travis Ewart in the 702 is burning him down on the front stretch, but the man can multitask. So while he destroys those rear tyres, the open class winner is also going to join us. Travis, just saying, a really great opportunity for open class drivers. If you can figure this out, put the practice in, boy, it really favors you.
Yeah, man, it certainly does. What a fun race to jump in the ovals. What a good switch up. I really didn't know what to expect going into this, but man, was that a fun time. Just try to be a little bit patient and pick my battles.
19th on the grid to 4th place and open class winner. Where do you think this race went right for you?
To be honest, man, I was just trying to be really patient and pick my battles. There's certainly a time where you got to push it a little bit, and sometimes where you got to just hold off. Luckily, I avoided all the crashes. I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways here. And I just was able to pit with everybody else and get some fresh tires and keep it off the wall or any other cars.
It's great to see you mix it up the front in what was a very different, in multiple facets, Spec-5 World Tour race than usual. And if this is a confidence boost for the rest of the season, we hope we see you go well.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm just trying to continue to build the momentum and let it ride, man. Thanks a lot.
One of those big point stays on offer in open class, and Travis Ewart is the driver who maximizes. But our championship leader, no one's got more points in the bank than this guy. Brandon Hawken is with Reese Gardner.
He is indeed. Brandon looked mostly like a case of just holding the lead and waiting for the cautions to come to you. But all the same, oval racing, not entirely a familiar discipline to the MX5 crew. It looked like you had a lot of fun out there regardless.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially the first half. We had just cool to do kind of race cars on tracks that they aren't really meant for. It's always it's always pretty fun to do. And if it went green there, I don't know, Ryan there, he was I think he saved his fronts really well there in the first half, and he pulled right up to my rear bumper, and I think if it kept going, he would have he was going to be my main competition there towards the end. Unfortunately for him, he had a bit of an issue there on a restart, but and then we had Josh and Lincoln battling it out right behind me, so that was I was, once I got side by side, I was like, yes, okay, just got to hold on for a few more. But it was it's always really exciting coming to the end of races with only a few laps left, and you the whole field's packed together, and you just you don't nothing's ever sure. And I would have been really interested to see how green flag pit stops went, but I'll take it. It was really fun race. Just trying to just keep to that yellow line, and have a lot of oval experience. So it's I felt like I had a bit of an unfair advantage coming in, but these guys picked it up really quickly, and then Josh there, especially there at the end, he really picked it up, and so just had to hold on for the rest of the race, and we just happened to have some good tires, and a little bit of battling behind me there to help me get the win there. But that was a really lot of fun. I hope we can do this again sometime. I know the last half was a little bit messy, but I think once everybody has a race under their belt, everybody knows what to expect going into the next one. So I wouldn't mind doing another one of these.
Yeah, I don't think we'd mind either, but hopefully the next time we do it, we end up getting a green flag finish. But congratulations regardless, Brandon. You're going to extend your championship lead out of this one. I'm sure we'll be catching up with you again next week.
Yeah, sounds good. And we'll see you next week.
Fantastic stuff. Brandon Hawken taking the Pro Class win there. And, it really has been a great season for Brandon, hasn't it, David? He's been up the top pretty much the whole time. It's been rare that we haven't seen him on the top step.
Yeah, when you thought there was one race that could throw him a little bit of a curveball, he was absolutely supreme here at Richmond. Things take a more normal turn next week when we go to Sebring, and it won't be at night or under lights either. We can really look forward to that as well, as the championship continues to have swings and roundabouts here. Open Class Championship blown wide open. A race that might have been very critical for Mr. Clean points as well. And Hawken takes the win. Travis Hewitt takes the Open Class. Thank you so much for joining us on HJBC for live coverage of Spec-5 World Tour. David Haynes with Reese Gardner and Michael Derby. We'll see you next week at Sebring.